Yes, my viewers and subscribers, back at it, you know, my people. So I want to talk a little bit about West Indies team and what we have seen coming out of the CPL so far. So when we last played T20, that's West Indies, we had a lot of complaints that we need to try and locate another opener, preferably a left-handed opener. Another opener, it doesn't matter, I guess, which hand, because Kyle Mayers has been on a poor run of form, right? Hasn't lifted that form much in the CPL either. I was of the opinion that give him some more time, because, you know, he started off doing all right for us at the top of the order. That's for West Indies, so I wasn't too bum rushing him. But having seen the CPL, having seen him in the CPL so far, I'm not too sure if he's going to be the long term. I don't know if he's even going to be the short term answer, the short term solution, much less that long term solution that we're looking for going into next year's T20 World Cup and the years to come. Having said that, we don't see a lot of young openers really standing up and putting their hands up in the CPL. When I say young, not only young in age, but also young in terms of where their career is. We were hoping that a couple of specific positions we would have seen people fighting for them. The opening spot is one of them. One would probably agree with me that Brandon King is probably the front runner there for the first slot. So we were thinking that the next slot is up for grabs. I personally was hoping that Evan Lewis would have had a good campaign. I mean, the last couple of games he can come and do something, yes, and the selectors will probably look in his direction. But I was hoping that, even though he's not playing for the Talawas, and you know the Talawas is my team, I was hoping that he would have had a good tournament where it would have been next to impossible to look past him. But so far, we haven't got anything from Evan Lewis. Alright, so he's one of the options that we were thinking that hasn't worked so far. We also were looking at Shandopai Hemorrhage. This is a guy that every now and again he will give you a good innings. I mean, we haven't seen it so far in the 2023 staging. He has gotten a couple of opportunities, right? But we have seen him in good form before. But one of the main things that people are always saying is that, you know, he might give you a good runs, 100, or might give you a 80 or something like that in one game, and you don't see him back for one next 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 games. We haven't really seen much of him, right, in terms of the numbers. So he's another one that is out. Raheem Carnwall is an opener. He has scored a century, right? We have seen him putting the bowlers under pressure in the power play. You know, not very often he bats past over number 6, but to the way West Indies team is situated right now, I don't know if we really need both openers to think about batting past over number 6. If we have somebody that can dominate, like Chris Gale, don't know if we're going to find a Chris Gale, so I'm not saying that we you know, but if we have somebody that can dominate for those first couple of overs, that would be good, right? Raheem Carnwall for the shorter format of the game at the international level, I'm not too sure if the selectors are looking in his direction, right? We would have seen the last time he played Test how things went there. I mean, he put up the numbers to play in Tests, so you know he had to get the opportunity, where T20 is concerned, I'm not too sure if they're going to give him the opportunity. Right, and he would be getting the opportunity as a batsman, I am assuming, because a batsman, opening batsman that probably can bowl. That would probably give you an over two. He's not going to make it as a bowler right now, because there are a couple of other spinners in the T20 format there that you would probably say, you know, they are a little nudge above him in terms of performance. So yeah, that being said, Cornwall would have been another one. Kirk McKenzie, he played a couple of games for Jamaica Talawas. He looked good in the first, I think it was the first 2 games that we played, we won. He didn't get any big scores, but he looked aggressive, batted as if he was in command and thing. Right, so I'm not too sure. We haven't seen him in the last couple of games, simply because he hasn't really set the place alight like how they would want. So he's another one that we're thinking about. Alright, Alec Arthanes is not opening for Barbados Royals. He's batting at number 4. But he too would have proven that he has the ability. Right? He has gotten a couple of opportunities. Would have liked to see him be featuring more in terms of the amount of runs. But most of the games that he has played in, you know, he would have gotten starts and you know, would have gotten out on a couple of occasions. So, you know, another one that would have probably been an option that they could try. But we see how that go. Alright, so that takes us down to a couple of veterans. Probably I'm missing 1 or 2 youngsters. You know, Markdale usually pops up in and around CPL for Trinidad, and you know, his Super 50 numbers aren't the best in the world and thing. But he's a player that I really like. I don't remember if it was last year or the year before. You know, I was rooting for him to get some runs so he could, because he looked good in terms of cutting the ball, playing the ball on the offside. You know, he looked good. But as I said, quite a few of our players tend to look good and then them not really do much. So he hasn't really done much right now, Markdale. So that leaves us to a couple of senior guys, Andre Fletcher and Johnson Charles. Prior to the CPL, Johnson Charles scored a century. I think it was against South Africa, if I'm not mistaken. You guys can correct me in the comment section. But Johnson Charles returned to West Indies and he didn't do too badly in his initial return. Got a couple of half century and thing. And then it started to move backwards. You know, he has played a couple of good innings in the CPL. Andre Fletcher, the same thing. He's one of the star guys for St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots. Their team is struggling because of the batting. Right, and Andre Fletcher, I think the last game that he played, he got in the 90s not out to win the game for his team. But based on the starts that he would have gotten, I would say that he hasn't really capitalized on them fully. So I'm not too sure if we're looking back and veteran players, or if are the older players, if you want to put it like that. I'm not too sure if the numbers are convincing enough. Right, so we're still in a position where we are wondering. And final thing that I want to talk about is that all-rounding position, or if we have spot for any extra all-rounders. Andre Russell would have indicated that he is ready to help them, and his numbers aren't looking too bad. I have my personal opinion as it relates to him and playing, which I have expressed a couple of times. But in terms of what's happening now and his performances, how many of you guys would be okay with the selectors saying, listen, you have dominated in the well, not dominated, dominated is a strong word, you have played well in the CPL, You have taken home a couple of games for your team and you are bowling reasonably well. So we want to take you on board as a senior player going into into next year's World Cup. How many people would be okay with that? I'm throwing that question out there because remember the selectors selected a team a little while back and said these are the players that they are really focusing on right now. But there are, there's room for other people to come in, especially in the CPL. So if they throw that down, how many of you guys would be okay with the selectors saying, listen, we want you to come on board to play some games for us leading up to the World Cup, play in the World Cup, and then we can decide what happens after the World Cup. Let me know what y'all think about this. I am just throwing it out there because I see it popping up in the comment section, so let me hear what y'all have to say. We're going to leave it right there for now, my people. Big up, Zane.